Okay, Derek, thanks for joining us today. And perhaps we can start off by you just telling us a little bit about digital AI, what led to the creation, and really what's the vision for forming the company?
Sure. Yeah. Excited to be here and to share a little bit about an update on Digital.ai. So, as a brand, Digital.ai is just really about a 1 year old, but ultimately you represent almost a half century of thought leadership and innovation, specifically around agile planning, enterprise digital transformations, application protection, security, quality, software delivery, and more recently, leveraging all the data that is thrown off by those tool sets and those processes, and leveraging artificial intelligence to bring new levels of optimization, both around how people develop software and deliver software, but also aligning those software investments back to the business outcomes, or in the case of government entities, into the outcomes for constituents, whether that's reducing costs or that's improving speed to market, or just generally improving customer experience. We're really focused on working with the largest organizations in the world to help them on their digital transformation, and to do that in an effective, predictable, secure, high quality way.
Great, thanks, Derek. And it sounds out of this complete sort of end-to-end solution that you just talked a little about, that you've kind of picked on the agility and DevOps as the first practice to get FedRAMP certified. What was the thinking behind that?
Yeah, there's a couple of elements. Again, when you think about Digital.ai, is really foundationally made up of 5 core acquisitions that have been done over the last couple of years, and then obviously a tremendous amount of development effort since the forming of the company. And each of the individual companies actually have a long-standing set of experiences and customer set within the federal government. That said, there was really kind of 2 drivers. Number one, our investment into bringing agility, in particular our enterprise agile planning solution, and some of our DevOps capability into FedRAMP, both kind of the FedRAMP process. We made that investment very heavily, both because we saw in many ways the impact of COVID in terms of the remote work nature of more and more of the federal government. Obviously, the federal government has, for the most part, been on-prem in terms of their work environments, and by association, a lot of their tooling. As COVID forced remote work, and I think has opened the eyes to the opportunities for even hybrid work environments, et cetera, in terms of what the go forward is. We saw the opportunity to bring really the market, the most robust enterprise agile planning solution in market, and some of the best DevOps capabilities to that audience via the FedRAMP authorization. So it's a huge investment for us. It's an investment that we take very seriously, and we think we can make a really big impact as more and more federal agencies become more agile. Really, I just say that, look at this as the beginning. We are really committed to this space. We think we can bring a ton of value to the federal government, and this announcement is just the first of many.
Okay, so if we look really at the agility landscape, Derek, I know there's probably some more well-established, maybe better funded organizations out there, but from what I'm seeing, it looks like Digital.ai are going to be first to market with a FedRAMP solution in this area. Was that a tough choice for you to make that investment decision?
It was a large investment, right? And it's a very rigorous process, but it was something that we just felt really was important, both because in many ways I think it's the right thing to do. I think there's huge opportunities as the government digitizes and provides more and more value to the citizenship. But also we have a firm commitment to working with the largest organizations in the world, and federal government is obviously one of those. We of course have a lot of very, very large commercial or private sector customers as well. But there's 2 things that we saw here. Like, number one, if this is the requirement to be able to be cloud ready within the federal government, we want to do it. We want to actually learn from this very high bar to also bring and enhance our security and scalability and all the other elements on the commercial side. And then number 2, while not related to FedRAMP, the other thing we've remained committed to, and we're going to remain committed to, is being able to deploy on premises when that is the right solution for the agency. So whether that's around top secret sort of environments, or somewhere in between, where the right decision, the right deployment topology for a given tool is on prem, we're going to remain committed there as well. And you see a lot of pushes to the cloud, races to the cloud. Again, we love the cloud. We offer our solutions in the cloud. We're excited now to be at least in process around FedRAMP and agility, and certainly we look forward to be completely authorized. But we're also remain firmly committed. If the right deployment topology for a customer is to deploy on-prem, we're not going to force anybody to go to the cloud, for frankly, for any reason.
That's interesting. That's interesting, Derek. And certainly what we've seen is that there's an interest in certification from some of our largest partners in the system integrator community. But obviously this is really geared towards our federal customers. And, we've all seen changes in the way that people work in this COVID environment. And I think I saw some pretty interesting statistics around, the federal workforce and really that they were not big workers from home prior to this. Does this tie into kind of what you're talking about a little bit?
Yeah, I think it actually does, and I think it's one of a handful of kind of macro trends, right? We in federal government in particular. I mean, number one, we happen to have the new administration, and one that at least early signs kind of highlight a real commitment to IT and digitization, and building on some of the strong programs of the past, whether that's the great public-private partnerships that were kicked off in the DoD 5-6 years ago, expanding programs that have continued to thrive, like the U.S. Digital Services. And so I think you've got an administration that is investing heavily into the digitization of government. Remote work is undoubtedly been the reality of 2020 out of necessity, I would say, as vaccines spread and things open up a little bit more. It'll be interesting to see. I think what folks are realizing is that, hey, we can do a little bit more remote work. We can pull from a broader talent pool, not just the talent pool that's within a 20-30 mile radius of a particular city that an agency may be located in. DC obviously being the biggest of those, but we can actually pull from talent all across the country and where appropriate all across the globe. We continue to see trends around security and doing these things in a secure way. The more we digitize, the more the bad guys are trying to take advantage of that, and so security is huge. We see a ton of cloud migrations, right? So we work with a lot of government agencies as well as commercial agencies that are, taking legacy applications and reconciling those, simplifying their portfolio, and making the move to cloud, containers, Kubernetes to save money and again drive security there. And then we see a ton of trends around data and AI and other such things. So I'm not making these up. You can obviously read. There's a variety of different predictions and articles as we look, but I see those as sort of very big trends. And again, remote work being kind of right at the top of that list.
Yeah, and I think if we look back, at some of these trends, Derek, certainly in the past we've seen a move to a lot of kind of team-based development tools, and what's been lacking there is the kind of management oversight, compliance, insight into what's going on. Do you see the solutions that you're providing helping in that kind of environment?
Yeah, no, it's a super interesting point, David. I'd actually layer in your comment earlier around SIs and also maybe even layer in public-private partnerships, right? It's not the days of kind of us locking ourselves in a room and kind of developing things independently. This is much more of a collaborative environment. I think you're going to see more public-private partnerships. You're certainly going to continue to see large SI engagements with the federal government. And so when you have that reality, you need to be able to plan and have visibility and collaboration, not just at the team level, which admittedly is where most of the agile tools have focused over the last 15 some odd years, have been how do we make individuals and small scrum teams more collaborative and more constructive. We've always felt, and I think it's important to note, agility is Digital.ai. Agility is the name of the product today. The original name of the product was version 1. Version 1's a 20-year-old kind of capability in terms of obviously been reinvented over the years, but we got 2 decades worth of experience, and we learned very, very early that yes, the team is critically important, but teams of teams and organizations and visibility up and down and the flow of data and doing that all in one tool that of course is role based, and so the experience that a developer has versus a scrum master versus a program manager or somebody running, say PI planning, if you're using SAFe as an example in terms of scale, you're going to have a different perspective. But the fact that that data is all together, that dependencies are visible, that the relationships amongst the artifact are all visible within one tool. And frankly, that's just a fraction of the things that we do. We have a set of capabilities well beyond that in terms of collaboration, integration into other parts of the software lifecycle, integrations into the DevOps stacks, road mapping solutions, even an idea space, which is sort of a enterprise, or in the case of an agency, a portal for users where you can crowdsource ideas and prioritize ideas and then get them right into the backlog, into the funnel. We do all that in one product, not because we just kind of want to do it. We do it because that's what we think is needed at scale. And again, you say at scale, the federal government's about as at scale as you get.
And this does sound very interesting, Derek. I mean, it's obviously a very complex environment. We're all moving very, very quickly, but often when we have complexity, there's a lot of opportunity, right? So how can we learn a little bit more about what Digital.ai are doing in this space and how they may help us?
Yeah, so a couple of things. One, obviously go out to Digital.ai in terms of the website. Certainly would encourage folks to subscribe to our newsletter. And then in particular, obviously as we make this investment and as we really double down on the opportunity to bring value to the federal government that we believe we have, and with the FedRAMP milestones as we hit those, we're going to be doing more and more webinars, more and more thought leader panels, more and more ways to not only learn more about what we're doing, but I think just as importantly, to be able to foster cross collaboration amongst agencies, amongst the public and private sectors. One of the things that we really thrive or pride ourselves in is being a learning organization, and that, whether that's on our development teams or whether that's on our customer success teams, we always want to learn. And I think one of the ways we learn is to often collaborate a little bit more openly than maybe we had done 20, 30 years ago, right? So we want to be able to bring together different agencies, share best practices, and then of course, we're going to be there to make sure that we provide that end-to-end tooling. We obviously want feedback along the way, and then you're going to see, I think more and more you're going to see, as you'll already kind of highlight with agility, the importance of the data and the importance of being able to use the data to improve decision making, improve outcomes, et cetera. So yeah, check out the website, follow us on social media, but really keep an eye out for some of these upcoming webinars where we'll really get into the details and share obviously the great work that's being done across the federal government.
Great. Thank you very much, Derek. Thank you for your time this afternoon.